Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Wednesday evening 30-minute growth session. I'm Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, the Growth Motivator, and I am joined by a guest who we had a few months ago, Yvette C. Owens, and we are here today to talk about emotional intelligence. I think now more than ever, the concept of emotional intelligence and how we utilize it in our personal lives and our professional lives are needed more than ever before. And as I'm a forever student. As I started to study emotional intelligence, one of the things that I learned is that it's really about our emotions, how we control them, how we perceive them, how we evaluate, how we express. And I don't know about you, Yvette, but I feel like emotional intelligence has saved my life in
Mhm,
terms of avoiding situations where I am emotionally overcharged and I need to dial it back some.
mhm,
But one aspect of emotional intelligence that really, I'm just going to tell you personally hit home for me was the aspect of relationship management.
mhm,
Relationships are so very, very important. And recently, someone that was very close to me, because of the relationship that we have, I was able to identify that that person was struggling, that that
mhm,
person needed some help. And if I didn't, number one, take the time to have a relationship with them, even though they're family, right? But you
mhm,
don't always have a solid relationship with family members. But having that, solid relationship with her, I was able to identify some things that were going on with her that was really potentially hazardous to her life and the lives of those that she's responsible for.
mhm.
So emotional intelligence is definitely, when I think about job ads and relationships and friendships and situationships, all the ships, fellowships, emotional intelligence is critical. So thank you for coming back again. What's been
Thank you
going
for
on?
having me.
What's been
Yeah.
going on in your life?
Oh, well, it's interesting that we're doing this topic now because I've been talking a lot about social emotional intelligence from our children. I did some work in Maryland and helping some mentors, some Black male mentor groups get prepared for their new school year to work with Black and Brown students, young boys. So we were talking about emotional intelligence there too. And then I've had opportunity to talk about it with other audiences and places that invited me in. So this is a hot topic. And like you said, it's everywhere. It's impacting in our families, certainly on in workplace, in churches, in community, everywhere. And we have to, and what I tell leaders, you have to build the muscle for emotional intelligence so that you can do it in real time. So going through, oh, something triggered me. Am I personally aware? Am I self-aware? Can I self-manage that? Can I now be socially aware and socially responsible and critically think about how we're going to move my team, myself through this scenario to get us to a healthy place, all within the moment. And so we have to build those muscles. So this is a timely topic, and I'm glad you're approaching it.
Awesome. And you know what? My husband, I noticed that he's like, up, as my wife would say, let me check my emotional intelligence. And one of the things I have found kind of like a connection, you know how pregnant women, when they are speaking, they kind of take a pregnant pause because they got to get their thoughts together. For me, part of emotional intelligence is about taking that pause, taking a moment to check my emotions. Am I going to say something that I can't take back, that I'm going to regret? Am I really censoring if it's something that I need to say at all? Is it
Mhm.
something that I really feel passionate about? But is it something that is the right time to discuss? Because, sometimes it's not the right time to have a conversation. So,
Right.
really, evaluating the situation, the environment, the tone, the temperature, all of that is important to taking that next step. So that pregnant pause, that moment to just, let me think about how the other person feels.
Right.
How are they feeling? Will they receive what I'm saying? And I find myself doing that more and more, which is why I love having meetings where we're on camera, because you can actually see and feel the other person. And you
Sure.
may be thinking you want to say something, but you look into the person's eyes and you're like, not right now. Like,
Mm.
not ever, but not right now. And so it's interesting that you talk about meeting with men who are going to be working with Black and brown students. Some people will say, oh, there's no difference. Absolutely,
There
there is a difference.
there
And
is a difference.
so those men who oftentimes are seen as the father figure for the young students, they really have to manage their emotions, take care of self, but then also really looking at and monitoring the emotions of those young people. So many things are happening in homes when kids leave, school,
Right.
that we will never know the depth of the suffering
Mm.
that they are experiencing. I recently had a situation where someone shared with me a comment that their child made in school, and
Mhm.
that comment caused the child to get, suspended. And so for me, I'm like, okay, yes, the comment that the child made was bad,
Mhm.
but why? What's the
Mhm.
root cause that led them to have that conversation? Is it something that they're dealing with emotionally? And as I think back on my own personal life, there were many situations when I tried to let others know that I wasn't okay,
Mhm.
and they ignored the signs.
Yeah.
And so I think now more than ever, you got to take some time to check in with people, see where they are. How can I support you? Right? Like, you cannot solve all their problems, but how can I support you in your journey? Whether it's just a listening ear.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. That whole where did it come from? That's also on the listener side too, because your response comes from a place. And we talk about biases and things like, but biases can be really, really subtle things, but it's still a bias. And it still drives your response and how you're so all of that inspection and adapting to what you're finding. So when I say all of this has to go within the moment, and to your point, until we can get there and be really proficient in it, those pregnant pauses are critical. Where you just step back and you're like, okay, why am I feeling this way? Where is it coming from? Is this even a valid? Is this even a valid feeling that I'm feeling? And if I can't sort through all of that, now how can I excuse myself from this conversation so that I don't do any damage to the other person or to myself or what have you, and make a bad situation worse or a mediocrity situation bad? But all of that influences how we respond. And we need to be thinking about that. First of all, why did it even trigger me? And then it's like, now, what do I want to do with that? Do I still want to be triggered that way? Or do I want to process and be open to learn more about this so this never happens again? And the people outside around you don't have any clue that all that's going on in your mind and inside. But if you are going to be emotionally intelligent, you have to be able to navigate through all those and maneuver through it in the moment. But it starts with at least being aware of what emotional intelligence is and that we have to practice it all the time. And with life being so volatile and so fragile at this time, it's more than ever that we have to be very careful. Now, some would say, aren't we just talking about being kind to one another and, treating people in a best fashion and not really trying to be hurtful? Yeah, but at the same time, life has happened in such a way that I need to manage that moment for me so that I can better manage it for the people around me. And to your point where you started out, now, even if it's not something that's triggering me, am I sensitive enough to see what's happening in someone which is not their normal behavior? And I'll give you just a really example so people understand how the depth of this, but how quickly it can happen. So I was in church last week, not this week, but last week, and I was handing out some papers and things like that. And a young lady she's a woman, but younger than me. She was up and talk and all that kind of stuff. And I said, I thought she was coming for the paper, but because my goddaughter and her husband was standing next to me, she like reached totally over me, through me to get to them and almost pushed my hand out of the way. And I'm like, so I turned around because I was like, what in the world just happened here? I mean, because all she had to do was take the paper and keep talking, right? So I turned around so that I could compose myself. And she was clearly excluding me from this conversation. But I walked away that evening saying, that is not like her. That is not like her. And they did experience her dad passed, her mom was with her, so, and they've been having a hard time getting over that. And so I knew that this is starting to really impact them, right? And it's a good thing that I did that evaluate. I took that exhale because I just saw her yesterday and she was like, hi, how you doing? So people aren't always even conscious of what they're doing at the time, especially if they're hurting.
So did you find out what was the root cause of that abrupt, non-communication status, why you were treated that way when, just the day before it was all good?
Yeah, I know that she lost her dad a couple of years ago, and he was a tremendous dad. He was really awesome, really known in the community. And so I think they're still trying to come to grips with all of that. And, when the longer something you're dealing with that, and there's nobody that can tell you how long that lasts, you have to work through it. I think we're now starting to see that might have been a day when it wasn't a good day, because like just yesterday when I saw her, it was like, hey, how you doing? And it was as if it never happened. And if I had taken on, I don't believe she did that, and she's this and that, and took it all to the left, it would have ruined the relationship. And that's where you're talking about, we have to manage relationships well, right?
And also, something that you mentioned that is another aspect of emotional intelligence is that self-awareness. I think so many individuals don't know themselves and they allow
Mhm.
themselves to be defined by their circumstances, relationships. And so, one of the things that I know about me, I'm very self-aware. If I'm not okay, you will know that I am not okay. You're going to hear
Mhm.
it in my voice. You're going to see it in my face. But everyone is not at that place. And I don't know if it's because I've been trying to climb Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I've been trying to climb that, right? But there are so many people who don't know themselves. And when they get to a point in life where they realize it, they're not like, where have I been all this time? Because I've literally been walking through life how somebody else wanted me to walk through life,
Mhm.
not how I want to walk through life. So I told you that I am currently in a preferment status.
There you
For,
go.
for those who don't know what that means, that I'm only doing what I prefer to do.
Right.
And what I am preferring to do is actually what I was destined to do.
There you go. Yeah. People, and I think to your point, I know for a fact you're absolutely correct. A lot of people don't even know themselves, and they don't know what to do with themselves because somebody else has told them this is how, either told them directly, explicitly, this is how you should act, or they're mimicking people and they're seeing how people act. And so it's like, oh, I should act the same way. No. And this whole season and times when we've been talking about be authentic, I think people need to take that to heart and really be authentic. Now, it might mean that you have to discover yourself and what
Take
you
your wig
really
off.
like.
You got to take your
Take
wig
your
off,
wig
your
off.
eyelashes, and all
Right.
the things that will allow you to shed everything that's weighing you down.
Right. That's right. I mean, too, like, even what do you like to eat? Do you really like to eat what you're eating, or are you just eating what you're eating because somebody, it seems to be the fad? I mean, it's like, no. Do you really want to go, or don't you want to go? Or are you just going because a bunch of people are going? It's like, no. So we really need to learn who we are. And that's when we're going to get such phenomenal innovation and creativity, because you come to the table as Dr. Lisa, and I come to the table as Yvette C. Owens, and we're not trying to be each other or somebody else that's not even at this table. And we're going to get some things that are absolutely phenomenal because it was appointed time for us to come together. And those things, what we each bring, is going to just be incredible. But if I don't bring it, if I don't bring everything that's in me, my experiences, my knowledge, my obligations, even my core values, if I don't bring them fully to the table, we will only make it so far. And that's when you get those superficial relationships, and then you get in a crunch or something devastating happens and this person starts acting like somebody you never knew. It's because that's who they really are. They just weren't showing you that beforehand.
And you know what I think part of the issue is? People gonna not like me for saying this. Reality TV. You
Yeah.
know, they say it's reality, but we know it's scripted to some extent. And I said, I wish someone could take a camera and follow me around and
Yeah.
really allow people to see I'm not always looking like this, right? I'm not
Right.
always feeling like this. I think social media, TV gives us this perception of what life could be, should be, when you don't even appreciate, understand the life that you are living.
Right.
And that's where those relationships are so important because you need people to say, hey, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Right.
I remember 30 days before my 50th birthday party earlier this year, I was crying uncontrollably every day to the
Wow.
extent that I know my best friend was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do because she's the strong person. But what was happening, I was in a transformation. I cannot help those that I am supposed to help if I don't peel back my own layers, if I don't get rid of the things that are no longer serving me. And I was thinking about my mother the other day because she was going to go somewhere. And then she was like, yeah, I'm not going, right? Because of X, Y, and Z. I find myself in that same space. Everybody's going to such and such. Okay, everybody have a good time. I am not going. I can't afford to go. And I'm being true to myself
Yeah.
because that's where I'm really going to see all the things happen that I've been planting the seeds to happen. And you talk about earlier, before we got on, this messy middle. I'm in this messy middle right now. And let me tell you, it's scary, but it's also has given me peace
Yeah.
because I know I can see the light at the end of the tunnel and I'm continuing to just learn and grow and shed all the things that I need to leave behind. And it has nothing to do with January 1st or this quarter or that quarter. It's just the season that I am transitioning to is all in order.
Yeah. When as you're talking, it comes to mind that you're no longer striving, but you literally are thriving.
Mm.
And we think of thriving being just so this positive thing, but no, thriving is when you can transform, when you can just be yourself, when you can evolve, right? Striving is like, I'm going after it, I'm going after it, I'm going after it, I'm going after it. No, how about just sit back, breathe, relax, know what you want now. I'm not too sure about it. I'll learn no more, but that's a place of thriving, right? That's a place of growth. Growth, doctor. That's a place of growth because I'm not restricting and I'm not manufacturing anything. I'm
Mm.
allowing it to happen.
Mm.
I'm allowing it to happen.
And you know what? It's something about allowing the things to happen that's so powerful because it helps you continue to just build that muscle that makes you stronger and stronger and stronger. You don't forget about the things that happen, right? Because it's all a part of who you are, but it allows you to help others, meet them where they're at, and they can see the authenticity in your words, your
Yeah.
speech, your actions. They can see it. Like I said to someone the other day, one of the main reasons that I disclosed in my book, Grow With Me, that I attempted suicide is because people look at me and they say, she has it all together.
Yeah.
She has not had it all together. She, being me, had some times in my life where I felt all along and I didn't want to be here.
Mhm.
But sharing that was freeing for me because I didn't tell a lot of people about it. But now it just gives me free reign. See, I got excited. It gives me free reign to help others who may
Yeah.
be going through that same thing. And this is the sad part. A lot of times people are telling us that they're hurting.
Mhm.
I think about, I was working with a group of leaders and I saw one of them in the car before they was coming into the office and they were crying.
Mhm.
If you are sitting in your car crying before you got to go into the building because you stressed out about what's on the other side of the building, it's time to cut the cord. It's time to make a transition plan. And so I didn't want to scare her, but I was like knocking on the door, like, are you okay? And she was like, this job is gonna take me out of here.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, no, ma'am, no,
Mhm.
we're not gonna allow that to happen. And she was like, I'm trying to avoid tearing up as I think about it. They're putting so much on me because they see that I can handle it, but really I can't handle it. And I'm losing sleep. I am experiencing digestive issues. And I'm like, and next is the ulcer, right? Next is the stroke, the heart attack. And she was like, yeah.
And
And
like you said before, it's like, are you okay to say I'm not okay? And you really have to move from asking that question of yourself to being, I am okay not being okay. I'm okay. I don't have to be on all the time. I don't have to be okay all the time. I need to, and not only just not say I'm not okay, but really pinpoint, how are you feeling? I'll never forget when I was at lunch one time with a bunch of colleagues and I just burst up out of my soul. I want my joy back. I didn't realize that I had lost my joy because I was still striving, I was still doing, I was still performing. And I just heard last night someone talking about, we have to get to the point where we, as those who people see are blessed and got it all together, that we are still comfortable saying, yes, I'm blessed, but yes, I'm blessed, but yes, I can do this, but. And then it opens it up so people and ourselves can work through the but, what's on the other side of the but. So that moves to the yes, I'm blessed, yes, I'm okay, side of the thing. But we have to, one of the colleagues that we know together, we were on a call and we were meeting and planning, and she could tell that I wasn't okay. I was just like this weight. And she was like, and you know how you say, well, no, it's okay, it's good, we can go through it. No, she said, no, we're going to pause and we're going to. And here I am preparing to talk about emotional intelligence and leading people through it. So we have to be very transparent, and at least be transparent with yourself. I'm not okay. Why am I not okay? How am I truly feeling? So that you can figure out how to get that. And you're not blurting out all of a sudden at lunch with a bunch of colleagues, I want my joy back. Or I've been in a conversation, and I was literally in a workshop where we were working with some teens, and the person was taking them through times when they were happy and knowing when they were happy and having a, and I realized I couldn't remember the last time I was happy. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop it, fix it, remedy it, get in the right space so we can stay in this healthy emotional state, as opposed to putting stuff on top, putting stuff on top, putting stuff on top. And putting accomplishments and success on top of all that is not success. Or it's success, but.
That was powerful.
Yeah.
That was so powerful. I know, I mean, we have like 1 minute left of our 30 minutes. I try to respect everyone's time. I am so appreciative of those that are tuning in live, that are tuning in, listening to the recording after the live has streamed. And I just want you to know that you are not alone. You do not have to navigate life as a single person. You have to get a community a resource. You have to get someone that truly has your back and not somebody who you necessarily got to tell all your business to, because I think people are hesitant to share for
Mhm.
fear of being judged.
Mhm.
And that's when you know you need to work on your self-awareness. Because I'm going to tell you about me. If you let me tell it, now I'm not going to tell everything. And I just talked to my mother about this, that I shared a lot of things in the book. There are some things that I didn't share that I got to hold, close to my chest. But you got to get to the place, and this is also where I'm at, where you're comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's
Mhm.
when the magic happens.
Yes.
So, Miss Yvette, I always have to have you tell everyone where they can find you, because there are so many individuals and organizations that need us, and
Mhm.
us as two individuals cannot serve everybody.
Right.
And we are both geographically in different parts of the country, even though we do go all over. We have passport, we'll
Right.
travel, but tell everyone how they can reach out to you, find you. But listen, I'm gonna give this one plug here. She is on that LinkedIn. Every time I open up LinkedIn, I'm like, Yvette C. Owens has said this. Yvette C. Owens is doing that. And I love it. I love to see you continuing to grow and go, because during those times where I've kind of paused so I can relax, release, relate,
Mhm.
seeing what you're doing is like, whoo, as soon as I come off my little break, I'm hitting the ground running just like Yvette C. Owens.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, as part of self-motivation, right? Because it's like you come out of retirement, it's like, okay, now what are you supposed to do? Let's get going and do this. But I am on LinkedIn, and you can find me at my website, which is www.destinyspeak.com. That's Destiny Speak, no S on the end.com. And my products are there. I have books. I am a 4-time international best-selling author. And when you were talking about don't fly, don't go it solo. In my book, No Bosses Allowed, Lead to Serve and Transform, there's a chapter talking about stop flying solo. So yeah, visit me there. I'm happy to come and speak. I'm happy to come and do training and workshops for folks around leadership, agile change leadership. And I am on Facebook as well and Instagram for those who are there also.
Oh, something you said, I gotta cover this last point, because I like getting on the plane. Even when you fly the commercial planes, the plane cannot take off until there's two people in the cockpit, which means you need a co-pilot. You
Yeah.
need co-community. You need your crew, right?
Mhm.
Not just your crew that, maybe you affiliate with at church or in social organizations. I realized that there's one other type of crew that I need, but I'm not going to tell it just yet. But I realized in my quiet time that there's another crew that I need, and you need multiple crews, right?
Yeah.
You need your travel crew, you need your praying crew, you need your crying crew. Some of them may be intertwined, some of them may be separate, but you need to have those different outlets so that you can continue to grow and just really enjoy all the things that life has for you. And I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I got a good 50 more years left in me genetically. So my grandfather is 102. He will be 103 at the end of this
Oh,
year.
God
So
bless them.
I got a lot of things I'm going to be doing.
Absolutely. And it's not just because you want the support around you. As a leader, you need to have those other people around you, because now you shift and you change positions. And that's what I talk about in the chapter. It's like you're out leading, but can you shift and take come back a little bit and let somebody else lead for a moment, because you can pick up on their wind draft, right? And then you can get your breath, because you're still creating momentum. Everybody's still moving in that direction. But as leaders, are we preparing people around us to allow us to shift and take a different position, but we're still going to continue to move forward?
Oh, that was another. Listen, these supposed to be 30 minutes, but you keep dropping these bombs because, sometimes, and I know this for healthcare, people are afraid to allow others to lead for fear of them taking their spot. And not everybody wants your spot. Some people just want to experience a little growth, not necessarily take your place because
And
they
we're not
wise
good at
enough.
everything anyway. We're not good at everything. That's why
Right.
you hire these people. That's why you have these on your team. So let the experts on your team be the experts. And that will require them to be able to lead at some point.
Especially what happens if you're off and they need to step into your shoes. You want
That
them to
part.
step in and represent you as if you were still there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us again on the 30-minute growth session. I'm sure that we will be connecting in 2024. I know
Awesome.
there's going to be some big things. We'll probably fly in somewhere together and do some
I'd love that.
things.
Yes.
I like to come to the East Coast because the seafood here is just okay. But if I can have an opportunity to get some seafood from the east part of the country, I am
Mhm.
all for it, especially seafood, networking, fellowship, all
Yeah.
of it.
You're welcome anytime here in Connecticut.
Thank you. And thank you so much for coming on again, and I'll see you real soon.
Thank you.